Thank you very much. I like having a microphone. I like that it's dark in here so I can't see. Because most of the time I talk to people I can't see. That's a good thing. So in order to understand this, I have to explain to you why I was angry in the first place. And most of it was long-term stress. I was managing a business that was in trouble. Say it was a natural foods co-op in a capital city in the plains somewhere. Just so. Business wasn't very good, and the bills were coming in faster than the sales were coming in to pay them. And I had to put off the utility man, and I had to put off the rent man, and I had to put off the suppliers, and I had to make payroll because there were 24 people who were expecting a piece of paper with my name on the bottom of it because they had bills to pay too. And on the outside, I put on a pretty confident veneer, and people trusted me. Oh, it'll be okay, just a few adjustments. Things will turn up. Don't worry. And on the inside, it was eating me alive. I started doing too much of the things I already did too much of. So, drink, daydream, avoid the facts, drink. And I did too little of the things I already did too little of, which was ask for help, face facts, ask for help. And there were times, I'll be honest with you, that I would be in bed, and I knew that even though it would mean stories in the newspaper, and it would mean employees who were angry, and it would mean suppliers who were let down, and it would mean shame to let this business that had grown 20 years on idealism to circle the drain with my name on it. I knew that. But there were still nights when I said to myself, I just wish this would all stop. Which is to say, I wasn't in a very good mood one day. Because the arrangement was, my charming wife Trixie was in Chicago for a conference, and I had a meeting in Iowa City, and the arrangement was, I was going to drive to Iowa City, she was going to fly to Chicago, I was going to drive to Chicago, we were going to meet there, stay a couple days, then we'd drive back together. Pretty easy arrangement. I went to Iowa City for my meeting, she flew off to Chicago for a conference, and the meeting in Iowa City was with some of those suppliers that I mentioned before, and it did not go well. They were mean to me, they said, we want our money. And I said, you'll get your money just like you've always gotten your money in the past. I just need a little more time, because this veneer that I've been showing you, this confidence, it's all going to work out. Things are going to turn around. Just a few adjustments. And by the time I got in the car after that meeting to go to Chicago, I was a little worked up. And I started having imaginary conversations. The kind in your head, the little puppet show? And I had it out with the manager of that company. And then I started to have it out with every lackadaisical employee at this business. And if they could only get their stuff together, then everything would work out in the business and sales would pick up. And what's the matter with them? And then I started having it out with, people that I hadn't seen for a long time. I had it out with a few people, my family members who had left. I had it out with the president, I think. By the time I got to Chicago, I was a tangle fit to be tied. That was before I hit city traffic. Because the hotel was on Michigan Avenue, just north of the river. And by the time I got to the exorbitantly priced parking garage outside of the hotel, I was a stack ready to blow. And I got my suitcase out of the car. And I marched out of the car park, into the hotel lobby, up the elevator, and what I wanted more than anything was for my charming wife, Trixie, to meet me at the door and thank me proper for going out of my way.
Thank you.
Nothing. She wasn't there. This was 20 years ago, before cell phones. I had no idea where she was. I wasn't getting a key to that room because it was registered through the conference. I marched back through the lobby, put my suitcase back in the car, and I did what anybody in my situation would do. I marched myself to the Art Institute of Chicago. I meant to see the Joseph Cornell boxes there. I quite like those Joseph Cornell. I'd seen them a while earlier. I liked the birds. I liked the mirrors. I liked the sand. So I paid my entrance fee. Yes, I know you're only open for another hour. And I marched up the stairs, ignoring all the great stuff around, marched through the galleries where I knew the Joseph Cornell boxes were, and do you know that feeling when you're sleeping and you've been running away from the monsters? You've been riding your bicycle up, and then all of a sudden you're over the precipice. And there's two things that can happen. One is you fall in terror, and the other thing is you can fly like you always knew how to. Fly. And you just twitch the shoulder and you go that way, you know, and you nod your head and you go this way, and it's like you always could. In a gallery of the Art Institute of Chicago, I was in dream flight. Because in front of me was this picture that I hadn't seen since I was 4 years old. It was in a book I used to read when I took a nap. And in this book were pictures of like this really tall knight with a sword killing a dragon, and there was this sky with these stars in it that were crazy, and it was stormy. And there were these crazy coat hangers all hung up so that it all balanced just perfect. And there were horses drawn on cave walls. And my imaginary friends, Commodore and Ranger, and I would have discussions about these pictures until my mom came in and said, "Commodore, Ranger, time to be quiet. Jerry needs to go to sleep." And they would usually be quiet. So there I was in the Art Institute of Chicago with that picture, and Commodore and Ranger are suddenly there too. And I'm looking at the picture, and all of a sudden it looks like a mirror. The picture is The Juggler by Marc Chagall. And it was neat. There's a yellow bird head turned one way with one eye. A red beard. That's what I used to have here. A brightly colored shirt. A fiddler on one side. Arm crooked. A towel over it with a clock swinging back and forth on the towel. Down here there's a girl riding the horse on top of a red house. There are people all in the background. There's a sad, sad face with a sad, sad horse. There's a ballerina. And I'm thinking, why aren't I dancing? Why don't I feel that music? Why don't I know that time is something that you can just wear over your arm like a cloth? Why don't I know there's this ballerina I can dance with all the time? And why don't I know that all these people gathered around in the background, all these people that want my money, they can just watch me dance. I suppose I went to see the Cornell boxes. I don't hardly even remember. But once the dream flight ended there in that gallery at the Chicago Art Institute, what I had to figure out was how I'm going to talk about this. I don't know. A lot has changed in the 5 years past that. This has been 20 years ago now. I started doing a little more dancing. I found some help from some friends I trusted in this business. We got some ideas. They worked. Business turned around. The bills started getting easier to pay. I drank for a while longer and then I quit. And once my emotions began to heal up and business kept getting better at the same time, go figure. I quit. Found a job that seems to suit me pretty well. And on the bulletin board where I work now, there's a picture of the juggler. He reminds me, keep dancing, Johnston, keep dancing. And, you know, a couple years ago, I went back home to Fort Worth and asked my mom and dad if I couldn't have that set of books that had that picture in it. And my mom said, why, sure. And I brought it home and I opened up Volume 10, as it turned out, my favorite volume in the Childcraft set that I took to bed with me when I was 4 years old. And I looked, and sure enough, Mark Chagall's The Juggler, and Starry Night by Van Gogh, and a Calder Mobile, and El Greco, and the painting on the caves. And the description that I couldn't read when I was 4 said, it looks like a dream.